Remnant 2. Is it worth a buy? Let's read the words of the developer. Remnant 2 pits survivors of humanity against new deadly creatures and godlike bosses across terrifying worlds. Play solo or co-op with two other friends to explore the depths of the unknown to stop an evil from destroying reality itself. First off, guys, the graphical options. There's a few things you can put on and twiddle with and tweak and pull and push and turn just to get that little bit of extra frame rate out of whatever rig you've got. For reference, I'm using a 2080 graphics card, GTX. I have an i9 9900K 3.6 gig, 32 gig of RAM. It's an old rig, it's sort of a mid-range rig now, and I was pushing at times over 100 frames a second on high. The guy I was playing with has a 4090 and he was running it in 4K at 120 frames a second with no stuttering. This is with DLSS 3 enabled. When he took DLSS off, he was getting between 50 and 60, but none of us had any crashes, none of us had any big frame drops or anything like that. It ran really, really well. Most of the footage I had it locked out at 60, but I have tested it, as I just said, without the frames locked, and it ran stonkingly. Now, I played the game through for about 8 hours in solo and about 6 to 8 hours in co-op with two players, and I've thoroughly enjoyed both of them. It plays well whether you're playing solo or with co-op. Now, the default difficulty setting is too easy, I think. I've actually re-rolled my entire campaign now on a higher difficulty level, and it feels just about right. I'm on veteran now, and it just feels nice. So don't really go off what it says in the game about most players will want to play on. Well, I don't know. Just take my word for it. The default setting is a bit too easy. Although in the early days, you'll still get one-shotted, you'll still get mobbed, and you will still die. But it was just getting a little bit too meh. Everything was just melting in front of us, but it just got a little bit too easy. On veteran, I can see the difference already, so that's the level I'm playing on to complete the game. I played the first Remnant, really enjoyed it. This one is better. The story isn't. The story's pants. Sorry, it was pants in the first one, if I remember. I'm not a bit interested in the story. Some of the side stories are pretty decent, but the main story, blah. And I think it's down to, I don't like my own character. He sounds like a Gen Z that works in Starbucks.
I'm not sure.
And then you've got other NPCs that you interact with. Some of them, like the one called Cass, is just horrible, racist, sexist, just blech.
Food and water and folks living with some old white guy.
So I'm not even a bit bothered about the actual story. Some of the side stories are pretty decent, way better than the main story. But what makes this game so good is after the short tutorial, which is like 10-15 minutes, you get access to the multiverse where you can just go to these different areas to do the actual campaign in, and they are literally massively. There's a space one. There's a one that's set in it looks like a Victorian England. There's another one in the forests, and it's a game changer. It really is great going to these completely new areas and applying your trade of murdering everybody. It's just fantastic. And to do that, you have a number of classes, and you can mix classes as well. So you can have like two classes joined together. The classes you get to start with, you have a medic, a handler, and it was the handler that I took. There's a warrior kind of guy as well. There's hunters as well that you can choose. Now there's hidden classes. I've unlocked the summoner class, which is this crazy wizard guy who summons these freaky monsters to do his bidding. He's awesome. So I've combined him with a handler. The handler has a German Shepherd dog who's awesome. It can heal you. You can set the different skills that you want the dog to do. It'll just attack people. It taunts the enemies, so it gives you time to shoot them. It's just great for solo play. But I'm having great fun just mixing the classes and just seeing what kind of builds I can come up with. And speaking of builds, you get a ton of weapons in this game and a ton of upgrade options and mods that you can put on them. You get amulets, you get rings to enhance different fire. If you get 4 rings, you can have 4 rings on this, so you can enhance different things, such as your mods. I've got 2 rings that enhance both of the mods that I've got on my 2 weapons. I found this electric gun, which is just awesome. It's a great AoE gun, and I've got a ring that enhances that. I've got a fire mod on the SMG, which is now defunct, so I've put the fire mod on me rifle, and again I've got a ring that enhances that. I've got new armor that I've found. You can't upgrade your armor. You could in the first one, you can't in this one. Bit of a shame that, but you can upgrade everything else, and you can mod everything, and there's a big progression with that, just finding good stuff and just coming back to your base, sorting it all out, just deciding what you're going to actually upgrade. You need to collect iron and scraps like that, so you can go to the different vendors and craft new things, upgrade your weapons so they do more DPS. There's a big progression in that area, and you level up passively as well. And when you do that, that will level up your skills for whatever class that you've selected. So for example, my dog gets more loyal and his stats kind of go up for his abilities. You get unlock new abilities with your pets as well, depending on what class you're in with. So there's a load of progression in this game, which is really nice because it keeps it all fresh. Speaking of fresh, you can re-roll the actual campaign. It's procedurally generated. So there's a lot of actually replayability with this game. And the gunplay is good. The combat is good. It's meaty. It feels nice. It's a fun game to go around the world. The graphics, they're all right. Sometimes it looks like a stage set. It doesn't look grimy and real. It just looks a bit off at times in some of the areas. But overall, it's pleasing to the eye. It has great sound effects. Loads of different monster types, although it doesn't feel it when you're in like one area, because you know the monster types are specific to each area of the maps. And if you're stuck in an area of the map for a couple of hours, which you easily can, because you're completing loads of quests and there's loads of bosses to bring down, which I'll come to in a second, you are getting the same monsters, or monsters from the same pool that are from that sort of biome. But when you add all the biomes together and they all have different monster sets in them, that's a shit ton of different monsters that you're going to fight in this game. And bear in mind, this game is £41. There's a hell of a lot of content. If you just buy the base game on Tuesday when it comes out for £41, you are getting excellent value for money, in my opinion. Not like a AAA game where you'll spend £55 and you might as well wipe your fucking arse on some toilet roll and then eat it, because that's about as much pleasure as you'll get from the fucking game as most AAA games suck donkeys' tits. Like, everything's donkeys now, isn't it? I don't know. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of boss fights in this that you'll come across, and some of them are very frustrating and some of them aren't. They're not like the Dark Souls boss fights. In Dark Souls, generally speaking, it was you versus the boss, and you could just read them and just say, you do that. So Simon says green, green, red, red, yellow, yellow, blue. Okay, you can't do that in this, because in this there's mobs as well as the boss to keep you on your toes. So I find it way better than Dark Souls as far as the bosses. I didn't like Dark Souls, but I do like this. Some of the bosses are pretty frustrating as well. There was one that really pissed me off that just kept smashing the ledges that you're on. You've got to leap around like a prick. But it was fun. It was still fun. And there was another boss fight that was just, you were fighting the environment. It was like a maze of rolling blocks, and you had to shoot all the white parts of the blocks. And when you did that, it formed a little bit of an alcove in the block. And if the block came over it to crush you, you could just stand in that and not get hurt. But you had to destroy all the blocks. It took us about 8 attempts to do it. Quite frustrating and quite a different boss fight to what we normally get, but there are plenty of conventional boss fights where you shoot things in the face. Overall, guys, it's excellent value for money. It's great fun. It's co-op, single player, and it works well in both. It has multiple difficulty levels. It has loads of replayability, tons of loot to get, great progression system, good sound, decent graphics, and it runs great even on a mid-range machine. What more do you want, guys? I mean,